gonna get into today's topic, which is Black fatherhood. All right, so we're gonna talk about being fathers here. Let's just start off with the first question. What does it mean to be a good father? Let's hear from I'm gonna start with you, Fu. Switch it up. What does it mean to be a good father?
I mean, to show that love and love, commitment, investment. You know, you want to invest in your children, in their future. You want to love unconditionally. That means spending time. That means doing what doing the things you need to do. You gotta, as a father, I'm a father, so
right.
As a father, you make those sacrifices. Sacrifice your time, do extra work, do whatever you got to do to make sure your kids not only eat but thrive. You know what I mean? You don't want them to survive, you want to thrive. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So, a lot of that is making those sacrifices and being there. Because your presence is felt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I love it. Holding my daughter and just, you know what I mean? My little yaya.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Very, very, very soft moment. I think I'm not a father, obviously, but I have one, of course. You know what I mean? Came from somewhere. I think if for those who grew up without one, I mean, I'm sure that's many people, Actually, I want to find a way to rephrase that, because you don't necessarily grow up without a father. The father's just not necessarily, like, available or present, you know what I mean, for whatever reason. But everyone has a father. You come from somewhere, right? You can learn from what they do, and you can learn from what they don't do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you see he's been fucking up, then you know not to do that. You know what I mean? So no matter what, your father's always going to be an example. And I guess for me, being a good father is just being a good example. And then, I feel like transparency. I don't know. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not a father yet, but like I said, I think just being that example.
My pops wasn't transparent with me.
Nah.
He was like, "Yo, you do this because I'm telling you to do this." I'll be like, "Why, Dad? Nah." That's just what it is. I mean, but there's different styles of parenting, and
Right.
To be honest, parents don't know it all. They move with the information that they know. Maybe how their parents was parenting them, what was going on at the time, or tradition. And some traditions sometimes are not the most progressive, and sometimes we might be showing love, but it can end up in a child's trauma. And we want to make functional adults, so we want to make those right choices and give your kids space to breathe and be who they are, and not who you want them to be. So
absolutely. Yo, G.
Yeah, I actually agree with Fu on his last point. I'll say a good father is a person who's like present. So kind of piggybacking off of what you said, like they're physically, financially, and emotionally, right? And also, though, I think another thing that makes a good father is knowing to like analyze your parenting. So thinking about what you went through as a child, what you liked, what you disliked, what you felt was beneficial for you in your development, and fine-tuning that to pass that on to your child or your children, so they can have a better life, and so I think that's what it really means to be a good father, is being there in all aspects of your child's life and always like trying to improve yourself to improve your child or your children.
Okay. So has fatherhood changed your life and your perspective on life? Just going right off of that.
Me? No, not really. This sounds crazy, but you gotta understand, I'm a little different. I've been an educator now for, I think, either 5 going on 6 years. And I've always had, like, how I looked at myself was, I view myself as a young man with an old soul, right? So I always thought community first before even myself, right? And because I've always had that communal mentality, having children, or, I have a son. So, like, having a son didn't really change the way I think, because I've always had that mentality, like, I have to look after others around me. I have to, like, help the youth. You know what I'm saying? So, me personally, it it didn't really change me, but I can understand how it could change other brothers.
Right. Yeah. All right. Yo, Fu, what you think, man? Has fatherhood changed your perspective on life at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's made me more responsible. It's made me definitely want to get that bag more. I'm not just feeding myself no more. I got to feed my family. You know, I'm not just responsible for I'm responsible for my child, but I'm responsible for my girl too, the child's mother, you know? And it's not just about me doing me for me and my sake. Now it's about legacy and family and estates, you know what I mean? Putting money away so, you know, my daughter will have, you know, opportunities if she chooses to go to college or start her own business but you know, that got to be there. So now I'm my thinking has changed immensely. But like, and even me wanting to do the things I want to do. Now it's more like I'm not running anymore. I'm sprinting. I gotta go. We gotta get it done.
I'm not running anymore. I'm sprinting.
I'm sprinting. We not, you know. But you know, it is a marathon, so you don't.
It sounds like you about to gas out.
No, I'm nice. That's what that vegan life.
Shout out to the vegan life.
Yeah. Shout out to my trainer Kirby, man.
Yo,
that personal training life.
You just identified you had a daughter, so being a black man with a daughter, right? Has your views on women changed in any way at all?
No. Nah.
Explain.
I mean, I see different women as different. I mean, there's different women, different social functions, different personality types. You just got to know who you're dealing with. But how I look at it is whatever energy you surround yourself with, right, is the energy that you're going to see, right? So if your reality is, let's take a brother like Tommy Sotomayor, right, who has a lot of media based on bashing the black woman, right? Or saying he has 1,000 negative examples of black women messing up.
I just remember who you're talking about, Tommy Sotomayor?
Tommy Sotomayor. Now, to me, that brother got a lot of problems just within himself, but this is the crazy thing about social media. You could be crazy as hell, and now you got a platform, and now anybody who crazy as hell who think like you now thinks there's some validity to their thought. So like, I mean, yeah, there's terrible black women, there's great black women, but like, it's what you know what I mean? If you know what you value, you're gonna be around that. So,
can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Because you use like Tommy as an example, right?
Yeah.
But when you listen to this guy, the reason why he acts that way is because he has a bad relationship with his mom and his aunts, right? And so because of what he went through, the trauma that he had as a child, it comes out when he's talking about black women, when he generalizes black women. But like when it comes to, I think, fathers, right? Like, and I'm always thinking about like Jay-Z's like 444, right? When he's like analyzing and critiquing himself because he has a daughter and he's looking at how he treats women. When I see a sister, right? Like if you see a random like black woman on the street, she is somebody's daughter, someone's granddaughter, someone's niece, someone's sister, you know? And so like I would think fathers will think about it even more so. And then when you see like a girl do certain things, why is she seeking so much attention from boys? Or, you know, why is she like doing certain things that we may deem inappropriate? I always go,
I don't judge people because everybody got their own path.
No, but what I'm saying is you don't go like,
I don't go.
Where's a father, especially now that you're a father?
Personally,
if I had a daughter, I'd be thinking like that.
She's a prostitute or she's promiscuous because she don't got a father. I think we have these like social kind of like.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like, yeah, who you are is based on what you've been through. But it's not necessarily a determining factor for who you are or who you want to become because.
How about this? Let me rephrase. Yeah. The way brothers treat sisters, right? We may intentionally or unintentionally do sisters dirty, right? because brothers for the most part are selfish. They're just trying to get a nut, this and the third, right? A lot of brothers like discipline, this and the third. We don't necessarily care because we're like, she doesn't mean anything to me, right? But when you have a daughter, then you start looking at her like, yo, this is my princess. Like, any dude harms her, there's going to be problems. Mm-hmm. Me, I go, if we're thinking communal again, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yo, why not look at all the women in our community as sisters, so that way, when we moving accordingly.
That's you know what it is. The same reason you can't look at all the brothers as brothers, because it's all about intent. Now, granted, some people are hurt. Some people have their own trauma that they need to deal with, but you, as a person, need to protect yourself from whatever energy. So if somebody coming with that negative energy and they're currently in that state, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not going to treat you, you out here, being promiscuous and being, thoughting it up, basically, right? Hey, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to treat you accordingly like a queen and boom, boom, boom. But because you're just going to get burnt in the end, because you do got to separate yourself from that, negative energy. Now, that person, if they want to change within themselves and change over time, boom, boom, they come 2-3 years later, they're a different person. Maybe you bring them back into the fold, but you can't accept everybody's energy. That's what I'm saying. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Because we have the reality of our current state, and then we have what we want things to be. And I do agree with you that if we just start treating people with respect, treating our women with respect. Neely Fuller talks about this in his long ass compensatory code, blah blah.
Yeah.
The compensatory code. I can't even say the whole thing of that book. The whole title it's a long ass title. But like he talks about the respect just black people have for each other, and that will help our situation, which I agree with. But the reality of the situation too is, if you see somebody who got some funniness within their character, sometimes you got to fall back and just be like, this person.
You're trying not to generalize.
Yeah, try not to generalize people.
Yeah. But how about this? Let me just. All right, so at the end of our last episode, right? Mm-hmm. Fool's manager came through, and I remember I said, if somebody tried to rape my son or whatever, off with his head, I'll kill the nigga my damn self. And she said, that's a problem with the black community. We're only concerned about our own children and not the children of the community. I ain't going front. Yeah. I thought about that shit for like that whole entire night, and I was like, she's right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's because
it all affects us. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and it kind of goes back to my point where, like, as fathers to daughters, right? Or just black men, period, in our community, right? Like, we hear sisters complaining about, catcalling, sexual harassment, rape culture, etc., right? Misogynistic views and the oppression of women, whatever, or the, all of these things that a lot of our sisters have been vocal about. And to me, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this may sound sexist as fuck, I just gotta keep it real. My fear would be if having a daughter, because my fear would be, I might have to kill somebody. Nah, because it's like, when you hear those statistics, like, 1 out of 3 black women are gonna be sexually assaulted before the age of 18.
No, you're right. It goes through your head,
bro.
As a father, it goes through your head that you want to protect it. I mean, girls and boys. I mean, because a lot of boys.
Yeah, but 1/3 of sisters, bro. Like, so that's why to me,
to be honest, I don't know the statistic on boys, but I bet you there are more boys molested than reported, because a lot of times
there's more girls molested than reported too.
Probably both.
I mean, especially I feel like all of them. To be honest with you, I feel like they all get in touch. I don't even think it's. I mean, listen,
anybody can get it.
It ain't, but
these fucking demons, dog.
You know what I mean? They're out here. Unfortunately, these fucking pedophiles and shit, dog. You know, so it's.
But that's the thing in our community. People who working with kids, people who around kids, uncles and family members. Like, you don't know who's who. You know what I mean? And you try to entrust that you leave your kids with people who will keep them safe.
Right.
But yeah, that's, as a parent, that's always gonna probably be a worry or
I imagine
something
that's
that you
always in the back of your mind, you know?
Yeah, I ain't gonna front. That's just mine too.
Yo, it's tough out here. But yo, let me move on to the next one, man.
Listen, I don't even leave my daughter alone with no grown men, so you know what I mean? And she's
please don't.
That's how we get down.
Yo, G, has your father's absence in the household affected the way you raise your son currently?
To be honest, nah, not really. But I do like when you were defining what a good father is.
Yeah.
Because it kind of reminded me of like when I was growing up, right? I used to always tell myself, I'm going to do everything my father didn't do, right? So I looked at him as the example of what a ain't shit dad is. But to be honest, it's more my relationship that I had with my moms, or the lack of a relationship that I had with my moms, that really is in the back of my mind when I'm interacting with my son. Because my mom's wasn't really that emotional, right? She was like the typical like real harsh Haitian mother, showed no emotion and shit. I think it fucks with me with my interactions with people, right? You know, like clearly people go like, yo, damn, yo, this dude G be wilding the way he be talking. It's not necessarily my intent, but it's like, yo, I grew up hard, right? And so like in school, home, the dudes around my neighborhood, like my boys that I chill with, I grew up with, it's like dudes was just clowning, cracking jokes, whatever. So it's like to not get like bullied or violated, I had to go hard. And then that's all I knew. So I didn't have like a mother that would like hug me, say I love you, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm always mindful now with my son. So I'll be nice to him. I'll be affectionate to him. I'll be like, hey, I love you. You know, give me a hug. You know, even though he'll be like, no, and try to like run off. I'm just doing that to show him like, yo, you know what? It's okay for like men to show that emotion, opposed to growing up like, yo, screw face anybody touch you, violate them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to teach my son the lessons that I learned from dudes growing up, because it was kind of productive.
So do you think the absence did affect it? Because you said you learned from what he didn't do, and from all of that you know, lack of, for lack of a better word, you know, that lack of like love or emotion or whatever that was there, you now make sure that is available. Yeah, but it's more because of the relationship I had with my mom, not with my pops. I understand. Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, yo, to be honest with you, like, my pops being gone actually didn't bother me, to keep it 100 with you. When he left when I was 6, it was like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it affected my brother more so than it affected me. I didn't really give a fuck. Like, it's weird. I have a unique personality anyways. But, like, even, like, the way my mom's treated me, I didn't really give a fuck at the time. But now that I'm older and I have a son, I'm more reflective of all of that. And I'm like, damn, like, I have to, like, tell myself, be more open, be more vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Be more affectionate. Yeah. I got to remind myself about all of that stuff because, again, I grew up in, like, a toxic, like, environment. So, you know, growing up in the hood, you know, there's no, you could, you know, show weakness. I won't even say weakness, but you could show emotion. You can't do that in our hood. So it's kind of like, we grew up hard for no reason. And then these same brothers having children, you're either going to pass down that same mindset or you're going to break the cycle. And I choose to, like, break the cycle.
Got you. No, that makes sense. I respect it. I share that with you, where it never really bothered me that my pops wasn't like around. And like it never, like I never really, I guess, cared either. I guess, you know what I mean. I was never looking for it or him. I was never asking about him. I was never really affected. My mother did an amazing job. She was there. You know, she obviously made sure everything was tight. You know, me and her have a great relationship to this day. She's the same way, I guess, where she doesn't really say like I love you or anything like that. Like we don't like hug much, or didn't. Nowadays, I make sure I always hug her whenever I leave. You know, the same way I would do, any woman when I would see him. And I always thought that was weird too, because I would see just out of kindness, when I see ladies or women, when I meet them, I give them a hug and just say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, just as some gentlemanship. But I never would do it with my mom.
But I would never. Don't hug no strange feminists, dog.
No,
do that shit, nigga.
Don't hug.
Yeah, true. That'll fuck me over, right? I don't know.
Yo, but hold on. I actually got a story, yo. Rome.
Unless you at the slut
Yo,
walk.
forgive me for saying this story, right? Yo, Rome, forgive me for saying this story, but I think it's so relevant to this conversation, right?
Okay.
Like, I remember, like, back in the days, I think, like, niggas was in high school when Rome, when you broke up with your girl, right? And I remember you was at my spot, and, you know, you was hurt.
Oh, of course.
In my mind, I was like, my nigga, who gives a fuck? Like, it was crazy the way I was talking. Yo, who gives a fuck, dog? Just hop on next. Like, I was wilding, and I'm like, damn.
About what? What was it?
Like, this was like my first, my first like relationship, I guess, at the time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and
they
I was
broke
like,
up.
Yeah.
How old was you?
I thought it was niggas like 17.
That was actually probably the right advice, man.
Yo, nah, but yo, it was the what was fucked up was I couldn't even like. It was weird. It was like hard for me to even try to be there. It's like my being there was, yo, man, fuck that, dog. Like, yo, hop on next, nigga. Let's suck it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit was so fucked up.
There's like a lack of empathy that you have for the situation.
And in my mind,
grew up without that.
Yeah, and in my mind, I'm thinking, yo, that's how you supposed to be, dog. Like, what the fuck you doing, dog? Like, yo, why the fuck you crying over this shorty, dog? Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? And like, now that I'm older, I'm like, I fucked up. I made a couple of mistakes growing up. Nigga, you know what I mean? I made a couple of mistakes.
There's a time to be strong. I mean,
is that really strong though? To me, that's the problem with black men. Like,
you know what
you said it before, where we have to redefine masculinity.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think we need we do need emotional security, but part of emotional security is not always coddling people or like sometimes
it's not even coddling.
I'm not saying that.
I literally was like, nigga,
it's specific to that situation.
I was disrespectful.
You was being disrespectful at the time, but there's a fine balance between we should, as men, we should be able to express our emotions, but you know, I kind of agree with there was a Judge Joe Brown. He talked about what masculinity used to be, best performance of duty, men. You know,
best performance of duty. I like it.
Men being masculine, men being knowing their duty and responsibility, and that with the new generation is kind of like dwindling away because masculinity is almost looked at as a negative thing. And it's like, yo, those are the things we actually need to hold true masculinity. And it's okay for a man to cry, but it's not okay to cry all the time. You know what I mean? Like, there's a time where it's not okay to cry.
Absolutely not. But there are moments where you should just kind of like deal with your emotions.
Deal with it and let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely, because you don't want that turning into cancel.
Yeah, not to mention too, the problem with a lot of brothers is instead of us expressing our feelings, we suppress it, and then it comes out in other ways,
destructive behavior.
Exactly, which could lead to violence, which could lead to abuse of sisters.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And so, and that's why I agree with you. Like, we don't have like a rites of passage or anything for young men, right? To teach them what it means to be a man and how to conduct yourself accordingly, you know? And we don't even do that for fathers either. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest with you, like, I didn't...
That's true. As a new father,
I'm trying to think.
I'm glad that I have some OGs in my life that have been helping me through the way. But, you know, for the most part, I've been doing it's just trial and error, me learning how to be a new dad. I mean, but there are a lot of black men's groups and just men's groups and groups that men can look to, you know, look for additional help and look for aid. But it is hard raising a young black woman out here, and especially in this atmosphere where politically everything's charged.
Right.
There's a lot of racial tension and fear of police brutality, fear,
not to mention, you gotta think about insecurities that a lot of sisters have in this racist world, where you know the standard of beauty is Eurocentric, you know, and
most definitely, which is changing.
Yeah, which is changing.
It is.
Thankfully,
it is.
But that's the thing.
But that's still a major issue in our communities.
Well, I think the more our people depend on ourselves, the more we'll start to see. Maybe not disappear, but continue to diminish. But yeah, it is it is really. It's not just important to father your kids, but yeah.
I feel you.
Perfect example,
the community. You got
my son had a Lego, right?
Yeah.
Literally, the Lego was like a conductor with like blonde hair and blue eyes. Yo, I seen that shit. I threw it across the room. My wife was like, yo, you're bugging. I'm like, yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I seek out black toys, black representation, black comic books, black books for my son. You know, like, I literally bought this dude the Cyborg action figure. You know, I'm pretty sure when the Black Panther movie drops, I'm going to buy him the Black Panther action figure once it drops in the stores. Yeah. I want him...
You think he'll know there's a black guy under that suit?
Nah, like they literally, you know, like they take off the mask and everything, like the cyborg thing.
Nah, the action figures is kind of tough now. Yeah.
So so like to me,
shout out to them toy makers out there.
No, but I want him to have black representation.
And
you
I know
why?
some black toy makers
because
too.
we need to annihilate this black inferiority complex that a lot of our kids are developing. Because every time they go to school or when they watch TV. And all they see is white people in authority, white people in leadership positions, white heroes.
I wanted to be the Red Ranger. I didn't want to be the Black Ranger.
You see what I'm saying?
Red Ranger
that's my point.
Leader.
Yeah, nah,
that's
my
point. Who's the leader? Actually, fuck the Red Ranger. I wanted to be the Green Ranger.
So now
that
you
nigga
see,
had the best Zord.
So because that right there is the realest shit so far, right? And that's my fear.
But it's true. I mean,
and that's my fear. It's like.
Yeah.
I have to always be mindful of what my son is consuming, and because of that, I'm always looking at like Facebook, like, yo, who's selling like black products? You know, who's selling like black cartoon stuff or black action figures and shit like that. So my son could literally grow up knowing like, you know what, anything's possible as a black person, as opposed to like growing up in racism, white supremacy, and only seeing white representation and feeling like, damn, yo, why the fuck am I a black person in this white society? You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to shatter all of that shit.
I feel you. All right. Well, yo, look, thank you, because I want to jump around a little bit. This is a great conversation, so I didn't want to cut anybody off. You know what I mean? This is actually really good, but let me just jump around a little bit. There's a couple statistics that we're gonna check out, and I just wanted to get some thoughts on it. So let me see if I can go with this one. I might be able to squeeze one more in, but this might be the last one. According to the 2013 National Health Statistics Report titled "Fathers' Involvement with Their Children," United States, 2006 to 2010. They found that black fathers were the most involved with their children daily on a number of measures, more so than any other group of fathers, regardless if the father lived with their children or not. So is marriage even necessary to be a good father to your children or child? What do you guys think?
I'm going to say...
I can answer it.
I don't think it's necessary. I mean,
I'm gonna say this.
I don't think it's necessary.
I'm gonna say ultimately, if you're thinking about legacy and you're thinking about building wealth, and especially black people closing in on the wealth gap that exists, I'm gonna say it's absolutely necessary.
I'll say strongly encouraged. And for me, I mean, I agree with you.
Yo, I mean, first of all, people...
It's the word necessary
people always respect a man with a child. They always respect... Dads get the most respect.
Because there's a lot of good co-parenting setups.
There are co-parenting setups, but to be honest, ideally, you don't want to... I mean, marriage can be turbulent, and you don't want to be in a toxic, or provide a toxic environment or a toxic relationship. So it's better to be separate and not with a person if the relationship's gonna be toxic. But ideally, the best case scenario that we could come up with is two black people being committed to, or even 3 or 4. You know what I mean? If you believe in polygamy, you know. But regardless. Hey,
right.
Our ancestors lived like that. That was cool for them.
Nah,
so,
I mean, it takes a village, right? So it takes
a village. I mean, however you conceptualize it, but that whatever your focus is, that commitment.
I mean, the child should have several.
It doesn't have to be necessarily
examples.
Marriage, but the thing is, marriage comes with tax breaks. Marriage comes with you're being. I mean, we're all in the system, right? So if you're gonna deal with the system, you might as well deal with the benefits of this system and get it, with your partner. I'm hoping that the person that you had a child with is somebody that you're looking to work towards and get wealth with, because it's gonna be harder to do it by yourself. It's gonna, you know what I mean? And if you're doing it for yourself, then you probably shouldn't have had a kid. So I'm gonna say, for me, I think marriage is the best case scenario for any black man to attain, to really even show an example for their kids of commitment and
exactly. And that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. What do you think, G?
I agree with both of y'all. Strongly encouraged.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because I just use myself growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see. Well, I did later on, like in high school. I seen other examples, but in my household, I didn't see like healthy relationships with my mom and her boyfriends and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, one way of being a good father is also providing your sons and your daughters a good example of what a man should be to a woman. To me, it's like seeing that in the household is the best form of an education, right? So that when you go out to the real world and you start interacting with women, you kind of have that point of reference. A lot of brothers don't have that. Like, they say like 70% of the households are run just strictly by the woman. So a lot of brothers don't really have that representation of a father in the house to teach them how to interact with a woman in the household. You're right. And so because of that, I feel like that's a major thing, especially for our community, because again, there's such a huge disconnect now between brothers and sisters. And the best way each of us can end that is by us being not just good fathers, but good husbands. Because us being good husbands ultimately become or translate into being good fathers.
Okay. So, along those lines, you'll still have a moment. I just want to squeeze let this last one in.
Yeah.
According to the National Vital Statistic Report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, all right, so 75% of black births are born out of wedlock compared to 25% for whites.
That's crazy.
Why are the majority of black men having children with black women outside of marriage? That's a tough question. But
I got the answer.
What's the answer?
Niggas ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think
niggas ain't shit, bro.
I guess.
Let's just stop. Think about this. A lot of these dudes is having children. It wasn't planned. Motherfuckers was just careless while they was smashing shorty, and then boom, she's pregnant. Motherfuckers are scared, and they go, all right, fuck it, and then they just have the child. But the intent wasn't to have a child. The intent wasn't to get married. The intent wasn't to build something with this woman.
Yeah.
It was literally like, we having fun, we chilling. And then out of nowhere, he got caught up. You know what I mean? So it's like, niggas ain't shit. Like, think about this. If this was like the early 1900s, but hold on, walk with me. If this was the early 1900s, right?
Walk for a second.
Though you gotta understand, there was such thing called shame, right? Where if you got a woman pregnant, off rip, your whole family's like, put a ring on it right now. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because it's like, it's dishonorable to have that woman have a child out of wedlock. Now, fast forward to today, it's the polar opposite. It's like, it's common practice. Nobody even gives a fuck. But if we had shame in our community, for one, you would try your hardest not to get her pregnant unless you're really ready. Or if you did, you do everything in your power to show respect, not just to her, but also to her family. We don't do that shit. Why? Because niggas ain't shit.
I'm gonna disagree with
Let
that point, because I'm gonna say, in some instances you could have, and I don't even think somebody having a baby accidentally means they ain't shit or they don't care. There's all types of situations that happen, and sometimes a dude could.
That's cool, but we're talking about 3/4, bro. You're telling me the majority of the 3/4.
Hang on.
But we gotta look at how black women are socialized today too.
What you mean?
You have the whole independent women movement, right?
So you're saying it's the woman's fault why dudes aren't wifing it up?
But listen it up, because this is how it plays in the dynamic of a relationship. when traditionally men led relationships in the past. Now it's like, I don't necessarily need a man. Boom, boom, boom. A lot of brothers is trying to do the right thing, paying the child support. Some of these dudes is married on child support. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's not like
I don't think that's the main catalyst.
Nah,
that
but
could
that's
be
what I'm saying.
a small
I'm
contribution.
not gonna put it all on black.
But Fool's actually not answering the question.
But relationships is a tool.
Remember what the question says. It says, why are the majority of black men having children with black women outside of marriage?
Yeah,
that's
but
the question.
It takes two to tango, right? So, you know, she had to open it up for the brother to go in there. You know what I mean? You know,
I think
it's
he might have the key, but she got the lock. That's what I'm saying. So
I
see what you're saying.
Dog.
You know what I mean? So
I see what you're saying, yo. I think it's a combination of the niggas ain't shit theory, but I also feel like it's just a lot of I would have to check. I mean, before I could really give my honest opinion, I need to know like the ages that people are having outside of wedlock. Because if it's kids, if you have children having children, then
yo, how about this?
That's a different issue.
There's turbulence in black relationships.
And then I think the next question, let's hear Fool's explanation.
I mean, there's a lot of different.
We can squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see. According to a 2015 independent study conducted by Tiffany Calloway, 97% of biracial children to African American fathers and Caucasian mothers are born out of wedlock, and 98% of those men do not contribute financially to their children. So 97% of those Caucasian mothers have been on government assistance. If black women are believed to be the reason why black men cannot be good fathers to their children, explain why the statistics are worse with biracial children.
First of all, I gotta know.
End after this.
I gotta know the sample size of the study. So that's one thing, because I don't know if that. Nah, that's real. I gotta know the sample size of the study, because you're gonna say,
I could pull it up.
The majority of my light-skinned brethren.
Yo, hold on. So you don't believe this is true?
I mean,
stop it, dog.
Statistics is a funny game.
I
don't really.
I'm on the fence too, to be honest. I'm
on
not
the
sure.
fence. I don't totally buy it.
Because I don't have any examples in my head. You know what I mean? What
yo, come on, son. We had biracial dudes growing up in the projects, yo.
Yeah.
Come on, son. Where were their pops at?
I mean,
exactly,
listen,
dog.
I mean,
exactly. Let's stop it right now. Them niggas ain't there, B. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, facts.
Why? Because they ain't shit. They ain't shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm saying it's the same reason for black men. I mean,
that's my point. Yo.
I got you.
So now, because remember, Fool was saying, oh, well, black women, this, independent, this, that, and third. Let's cut the bullshit, bro. If that's the case, then why is it worse for white women? It's worse for white women. You know what I'm saying? And even in that study,
that means a quarter.
Yo, to be honest with you, even in that study, it's even bad with black men with Latina sisters and with Asian women. Brothers is fucking up no matter what. You can say, oh, it's black women. Nah,
niggas
bro.
Is just out here, B.
The common denominator is niggas. You know what I mean? Like, yo, these ain't even black men. They certified niggas. They're Negroes. You know what I mean?
I feel you. But the reason why I bring up the age is because I feel like I think it's just a lot of reckless behavior. You know what I mean? I feel like that transition from teenager to adult, that's a real, tough and like monumental time for people.
I agree with y'all. But then explain why it's only a quarter of white men that do it versus 75 to 90+% with us.
It would be a completely different conversation, but you're gonna go into the communities, how these people come up. If you look at obviously like Newton, Needham, and all these places where it's like majority white or Jewish, even if it is single parent, it's still a very affluent neighborhood with plenty of resources, and enough people around them telling them to do the right or thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Whereas where I grew up, just project living, kids are in the street all day, all night. Parents are nowhere, yo. You know what I mean? Niggas is out super late. You know what I mean? So cats are just living. You know what I mean? Like, So I feel like it's a lot of reckless behavior amongst young people, and maybe I shouldn't classify it. No, I'll say it's reckless behavior amongst young people because they're kind of just doing their own thing. You know, they're just out. A lot of parents, not all of them are just not there. Some of them sincerely just can't be because they're working all the time, you know? But then there's also the ones that are just chilling and don't want to be bothered with their kids. My mother used to do daycare, and there would be people who literally don't go to work. They just don't want to be bothered with their kids, so they drop their kid off with my mother like 6 a.m. in the morning, and they just go home, they sleep, and they come at the very last moment, like 6 p.m. when she closes, to pick them up and then bring them home.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, dog. Yo, listen, sometimes you need a break, dog. Sometimes you need a break, dog.
Yo, my mother used to tell me, she said when she would pick me up early if she was off work. You know what I mean? If she got off work.
Yo, oh my God, dog.
She would keep me home if she wasn't working. She would pick me up early if she got out early. You know what I mean? She didn't leave me over there. You know what I mean?
I remember, when my son was first born, bruh. Yo, them sleepless nights, dog. Yo,
I could imagine.
Y'all are bugging, yo. Sometimes parents need breaks too, man.
Hey,
Fuck that.
listen, call on.
It's hard for parents out here, man.
Yo,
but
motherfuckers ain't fucking superheroes, dog.
I feel you.
I remember as my time being a director for after school, though, I would say this. It wasn't a lot of parents, but it would be the same parents over and over who'll be late to pick up their kids or have an excuse, or so it happens. It happens, but sometimes it's not because they don't care. Sometimes it's because they just, I dealt with, single mothers who, they would be working and, they get out of work. They had nobody else to pick up the kid, and
I'm not saying every parent that leaves a kid. I wasn't trying to say that. I guess what I'm saying is they're just parents who aren't present in their children's life to actually give them the correct advice of, hey, wear a condom. Hey, make sure you use protection. You don't want to have. Try to have a child with somebody. Yeah, don't have sex. You know what I mean? Like, there just aren't people around to give these people these advices. And like I said, especially in my hood, we were out all times of night. My mother, I would hear, everyone grew up where you like hear your parent like calling you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my mom just called me out the window.
Yeah, out the facts, yo. My mother used to call me out the window. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. But we're gonna end it here, and then we'll pick it back up. Definitely tune in next week, because that's when you're gonna hear part 2 of the Black Fatherhood. We're gonna continue this discussion. It's a great discussion. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you do your social media. It's upanicd, upanicd. You guys got any closing?
Oh, definitely. I didn't say it in the beginning. I should have, but namaste.
I'm telling you, it gets worse every episode. I ain't say nothing. I was gonna clown him. I was like, I ain't gonna do it, dog.
No. I remember. Yo, I'll never forget my people. So it's always Hotep.
Well, keep your peoples first, dog.
Yo, but also last episode I did say I did have my dope ass scarf on. And it was made by Kafera. Look for her on Instagram, Kafera.
Okay. All right, word. Yo, you got anything, G?
Nope.
Word. All right, yo. Well, it's You Panic. We'll continue this next week. Peace.